What's up, everybody? Welcome to the undefeated post-weigh-in show for UFC Vegas 42. That's right, the best MMA betting show on the internet. Today, it is time. We saw some weigh-ins. We got a low-level dumpster divey type of card, and because of that, we got some low-level dumpster divey type of weigh-ins. This is what I live for. It brings the show back to its roots. When everyone's all prim and proper and they make their weight, they're right on point. There's nothing to talk about. There's no way to bet and get extra information or extra value out of these lines. When they miss weight, when they screw up, when they have a hard time, that's where we shine, baby. So let's get straight on into this bad boy. If you're new to the show, we take a look at these fighters on the scales. I report back to you. I watch these bad boys on repeat, and I look for every little detail to try and find one little edge that we can maybe put in our pocket towards betting on these fights on Saturday. And it's also the time where if my thoughts and opinion has changed from my Monday podcast where I break down the entire show to today, we have a whole week in between where if I digest some new information, think of something different, I relay that to you today, as well as the bets that I have made so far for this card. Let's get straight on into it. Smash the like button, subscribe here if you haven't already. First fight of the night, Kennedy Nzechukwu taking on Daun. Kennedy came in at 205 on the dot and looked solid. Daun came in at 204.5, and honestly, he looked calm, he looked confident, he looked good. He had some abs popping when he got up there. Both these guys in great shape. Both these guys know what's on the line here. This is definitely kind of an up or down contenders type of spot where we're really going to find out who's legit in the division and who the UFC might be looking to back and get hyped on after this one. When they face off, decent size advantage for Kennedy. I was a little surprised. I mean, I know he's a big, long dude, but compared to Daun, I didn't think he was going to be as large as he is. So impressed by the size of this kid here. And you know what? I've been batting this one back and forth all week. I've been looking at it. I thought that I kind of wanted to play on Kennedy, but I felt like I had missed the line. And, you know, from a sports betting perspective, you want to get as much line value as you can. Considering I had missed the opener, didn't get plus 140, didn't get plus 130, waited all the way until now, and he's even money, plus 105. I didn't feel like it was the right move to jump on him, but I got to do it. I can't sit on the sidelines on this one. My read, my gut, my soul, everything tells me that Kennedy Nzechukwu is more than capable of winning this fight. And I talked about it on the Monday show that really we're waiting for this kid to show improvements. We're ready to see that next wrinkle in his game. And part of this is a little bit of a leap of faith that that's happened. And I said, wait and just watch and bet it live. Because if he comes out in round one and he looks like a new man, we're going to know real quick. But the problem, I've been thinking, the problem with that, though, is if he makes the improvements that we think he can and we think he will, he could just kill Daun. You could have a minus 300 live betting line after round one if he comes out the way he can. So I can't take that risk. I'm going to go ahead and bet him. I think plus 105 is solid. We can still get even money out there. Take it while you can if you're going to rock with me. We saw Daun get hurt badly by my guy Sam Alvey. I promise you, Kennedy Nzechukwu hits harder than Sam Alvey does, and the size and the reach advantage, as long as he uses those correctly, I don't think he has any problem winning minutes striking here, and Daun is going to have to rely on the grappling. We've seen Kennedy show some high fight IQ in those grappling spots before. I think he can get it done. Don't be surprised if he knocks him out. Don't be surprised if he takes his time, starts a little bit slow, and wins a decision. He's capable of both, which is why I'm not playing a prop. I'm just betting the money line. Next up, we've got Mark Diaz taking on Rothwell. Alves. Diaz comes in here at 156. Alves, 155. And Mark Diaz, say it with me, everybody, absolutely shredded up there on the scale today. This man is always ripped. He always comes in good shape, but he's coming off of a long layoff where he's got a new team, got some new training partners surrounding him, and boy, has he leveled up. I think it's the best shape I have ever seen Mark Diaz in. Now, his opponent here, Rafael Alves, absolutely jacked. This guy looks solid. He's another dude that's explosive, well-muscled. We know he's high-paced in that first round. He comes for war, and he comes early. He took his drink with him onto the stage. I do want to mention that. He was going to need to rehydrate up immediately after making weight. We've got a solid size advantage for Mark Diaz, the bone crusher here, and that always feels good. Now, the reason Rafael Alves is fighting up at 155 is he screwed up and missed weight badly down at 145. So I think he's almost being punished here, and the size difference is a good thing for me. I got in early on Mark Diaz. I got three units on him at minus 150. He's all the way up at minus 200 now, so massively smashed that line movement. Feeling good about my spot on Mark Diaz. Courtney Casey coming in here taking on Liana Jojua. We got Courtney making weight at 125, Liana 129. So she did miss weight. Business as usual for Courtney Casey, but I'll be a little bit honest. She looked off when she walked up to the scale, when she was standing on the scale waiting for weight to be called. I don't know quite how to describe it. I'm not sure if she was angry about the weight miss because she had heard about it, or if she was just having a rough morning, but there's something not quite right about Courtney Casey today. Now, Liana Jojua, she was like closing her eyes praying when they were on the scale for her, completely deflated looking when they called off that she had missed, but she moved perfectly well. She's thick. She looks like she added some muscle, and that might be part of the problem. For some reason, they had her try again using the box of shame, and like her skivvies are gonna weigh a full 4 pounds. Like, why are we even bothering? She weighed 4 pounds over. Taking off the bra and the undies are not gonna make up that difference. So that just seemed like a waste of everybody's time to me. But when they faced off, again, Courtney Casey moving very, very slowly up to the scales for the face-offs. And let me get the tinfoil hat on here for this one. I do think that something is off with Courtney Casey. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe she was trying to be intimidating. Maybe she was trying to stare down Liana Jojua as she came up to meet her or something like that, but she just seems very lethargic, very sluggish, and we're talking about a 9-9 fighter here, somebody who has not had a ton of success in the UFC, somebody who has struggled with UFC caliber competition over the course of her career. So I don't need much to want to bet against Courtney Casey. And with the weight miss of Liana Jojua, somebody who has solid judo, decent wrestling, great grappling, the offensive submission upside, and heavy hands, going against somebody who's a 500 fighter, having that weight advantage, and somebody who has a 38% takedown defense. Like, if they tie up physically, Liana Jojua is going to have that extra weight advantage, that extra energy advantage on top of the poor takedown defense and the judo throws. Like, I've got all I need to take this shot. This line jumped up a little bit. I got 2-1. I'm throwing 1 unit dart on Liana Jojua, plus 200. Let's roll those dice on that dog. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. Let's go. Next fight up, Sean Woodson taking on Colin Anglin. Woodson came in at 145.5. Anglin made 146. Now, Woodson is huge. Woodson's absolutely huge, and he looks completely relieved once they called that weight. He's a bit lobster face, a bit red in the face, but we know he was probably cutting weight all the way up until the last second because of how big he is for this weight class. Colin Anglin also had some lobster face going on, but boy, this guy is jacked. He is short, he is broad, gave a solid flex. He's the scariest tax attorney I think I've ever seen. He's got some nerdy looking glasses on when he does that. Pretty funny look in my opinion. Woodson is huge. When they faced off, there's a big size difference between these guys, but I talked about it on the Monday show. I actually think that might play against him here because we've got Colin Anglin, who's a good wrestler and a good grappler, and he knows exactly what he has to do in this spot. Those long, skinny legs are going to allow him to get under the hips of Woodson, and we have seen Woodson struggle with high-paced grapplers before. I think this line is too wide. I am simply not sold on Sean Woodson, and even though, I mean, here's the thing. I bet against Colin Anglin in his last fight out. I have talked about Colin Anglin having a padded record and things like that in the UFC, but the fact is I think this is a buy low spot. I think everybody was so high on Colin Anglin. Everybody could not get enough of Colin Anglin. He loses one UFC fight, and now we're getting plus 250 on him. I simply think it's an overcorrection, and I think this line is too wide. I expect this fight to be competitive and close, so I will roll the dice once again on a big underdog. I locked in Colin Anglin, and I believe I got plus 250. Cynthia Calvillo taking on Andrea KGB Lee. Cynthia came in at 126, Lee 125. No issues whatsoever. Honestly, no issues for either girl. They both look good, business as usual. Cynthia Calvillo doesn't have a problem making weight since she moved up to 125, and Lee has never had a problem making weight. When they face off, these two size up extremely well. They're very, very well matched here. Slight size advantage for Andrea Lee, but not by a ton. Honestly, I've been scared off of this fight. I've been going back and forth, ping-ponging left and right on this one. I feel like Cynthia Calvillo's technical technical striking and wrestling should probably enough for her to get the decision win. However, she has struggled when her opponent has been stronger than her. Andrea Lee is very physically strong, and especially when she gets in the grappling situation, she's causing scrambles. She's always looking to get back up to her feet, sweep, submit, get on top. She's dangerous off her back. Like, there's a lot of ways that Lee can cause problems for Calvillo, but I do think that this is maybe a step down for Calvillo, a buy low spot for Calvillo. My gut says Andrea Lee. My brain says Calvillo. I'm just going to go ahead and pass on this one. I'm just going to let it roll off. If you want something, though, they probably should go to decision. So if you feel like laying that kind of chalk or parlaying the over 2.5, this one's probably one where you could pull it off. Thiago Moises taking on Joel Alvarez up next. Moises makes 155. He looked a bit worn down when he got up there. He's been pretty active lately, and young growing guy probably has a hard time at this point making weight. Took his hydration juices to the stage with him on this one, but no real issues. I'll be honest, he looked a little bit worn, but it kind of reminds me of, Jose Aldo, who looks like shit on the scales every single time we see him, and then he fights to his potential, and it's not a problem. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here from Thiago. Joel Alvarez on the flip side, though, 157.5. So he misses by 2 pounds. He gave a big old flex and a smile, pounded his chest. I think he forgot he was supposed to make 155. I'm not sure he understands that he was contracted to weigh in at 155 here. Joel Alvarez is huge. Like, we talked about this before. He is a massive man at 155. The guy is just, he's going to have to move up. I really think, given the size, given the weight miss, like, I don't think he's long for the division. When they faced off, Thiago Moises was not phased whatsoever. Stepped in on this man, got in close, mean mugging him. Hey, Moises, he's a dog. He absolutely will get in there and fight anybody. He is not concerned whatsoever with what you bring. He is confident in himself. So what I ended up doing on this one, I took Thiago Moises by decision, even money, plus 100. So I was a little nervous to lay the minus 250, minus 265 that he's currently at right now, because I do recognize that Joel Alvarez is a live underdog in this spot, and I do recognize that especially with the weight miss, Joel Alvarez is going to have that energy, that explosion. He may be also heavier, make things harder for Thiago. Like, there's a lot of ways that weight miss, similar to the Jojua situation, can actually benefit Joel Alvarez. And people may be wondering why I picked to back that one and not this one. Well, the difference is that Courtney Casey is a 500 fighter who is not very good. And we have seen our guy Thiago Moises fighting maybe the number one contender and took him all the way into round 4 and held his own in that fight. Like, he is a solid, legitimate fighter and a solid, legitimate prospect in this division with a good record, fought a much higher level of competition, even though Joel Alvarez is a solid test for him with this size. It's a step down for Moises. And I don't see him finishing Thiago Moises. Moises gives up the takedown. He likes to play off his back. Thiago Moises likes to go for the takedown. Joel Alvarez gives up the takedown, likes to play off his back. I apologize. Got a little tongue twisted there. So I really feel like on the feet, this is going to be a competitive fight. When it hits the mat, Joel Alvarez's length and reach is going to be completely negated by the wrestling of Thiago Moises. So what we're going to end up seeing is a Moises by decision type of situation. I don't think this fight finishes inside the distance. I don't expect Joel Alvarez to gas out or slow down. He didn't have a bad weight cut. He looked good. I don't think he can submit Thiago Moises off of his back. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he can. So I think Thiago Moises minds his P's and Q's, stays safe, wins a grindy style decision, and getting a minus 250 favorite at even money for his arguably best path to victory, I'll take it. I will take it. Song Yadong taking on Julio Arse up next. Both men made 135.5. Song Yadong cut up this guy. Like, he is jacked. Very confident flex, but he's wearing the sunglasses. Always pisses me off when they wear the sunglasses. I think they're hiding something. Show me those bloodshot eyes. I want to see the bad weight cut, but they hide it behind the sunglasses. Big smile and pointing at the crowd from our guy Julio Arse. He's also shredded down at this weight class. He looks great, if I'm being honest. They face off, size up extremely well again. This is another one where I've been basically scared off of. I understand the value play on Julio Arce, but I also have been on the wrong side of Song Yadong, and I don't really want to doubt the kid. These guys are really evenly matched when it comes to their size, their strength. Both guys, solid technical strikers. Both guys with finishing upside. Maybe a slight wrestling advantage for Yadong that's going to keep this thing close. I kind of feel a split decision here, and because of that, I don't want to get involved. If I was getting Julio Arce at a bigger plus line, then maybe I'd consider it, but plus 110, that's not enough for me to flip a coin and just hope I'm on the right side of Song Yadong for once, so I'm going to pass. Miguel Baeza taking on Kalen Chaos Williams. Baeza came in at 170.5. Chaos came in at 169. And Baeza, he was doing the pre-flex thing. The guy had to tell him to chill out and sit still so they could get the weight. He gave the Arnold flex afterward, looking good. Miguel Baeza came in here on point. Now, Chaos Williams, jacked. I mean, this guy is always in amazing shape, and he looks fantastic up there. He looked mean. I love the attitude of Chaos Williams as a fighter, someone you want to back. Like, he's going to fight like a junkyard dog every single time. When they faced off, there's a decent size advantage for Miguel Baeza, and that concerns me a little bit. But Chaos is broad. He is thick. Like, when he turned around, the size of his back, the dude he's not tall and long, but he is built like a brick shithouse. Intense face-off. Both these guys know what's on the line. Another one I've kind of been scared off of. I feel like I need to back Chaos here simply because I've been on such a roll with this guy. He's my boy. I love the death touch, and we know that Miguel Baeza is a little bit chinny. He has been clipped and hurt before, but at the end of the day, my brain is just telling me that Miguel Baeza is the better, more technical fighter, and he's probably going to find a way to finesse himself to a win here. We've seen some issues with Chaos. He is improving and getting better. I don't know if he's had enough time off to patch up all the holes that he needs to win this fight. Kind of feeling Miguel Baeza by decision, but again, not one that I'm planning on putting my money on. Felicia Spencer taking on Leah Letzen. Spencer came in at 145 and a half. Letzen 145 on the dot. Spencer had a cocky smirk on her face. No real issues. She's not massive for 145. I don't think she has any trouble making the weight. Leah Letzen, big smile and flex. A little nervous looking, but she's been gone for 3 years. That's completely to be expected here. When they face off, Felicia's a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, and I think at the end of the day, that's the biggest problem with this fight. I was very tempted on covering my eyes and just chucking a blind dart at Leah Letzen because I feel like this line is maybe a little bit too wide. Spencer at minus 400. You can get Leah Letzen at 3-1. I mean, Spencer just doesn't have good wrestling. And that's really all this comes down to, is that Leah Letzen, if she has one or two good sprawls in her and keeps this thing on the feet, she is going to piece Felicia Spencer up. I think she's very live for a decision win here. And at 3-1, geez, last time I saw it, it was plus 250. If I can get plus 300, I might have to take the shot on it. Didn't see that it had gotten quite that high before the show started. So I'm a little dogger pass here in this spot. I can understand Felicia Spencer's getting a big break here, a big step down. She's the bigger girl. She hasn't been that recently. And so she might just be able to rip Leah Letzen to the ground. And someone who's been gone for 3 years, we can't really count on their skill set to really be there. Who knows? We could see an incredible Leah Letzen. We could see a terrible Leah Letzen. So I'm going to pass on this one. I'm a little too scared to pull the trigger. But I do think there's a pretty clear path to victory for both women. You can make decent arguments for either one. The weigh-ins don't do anything for me here on this one today. Co-main event, Big Ben Rothwell taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Ben tipped the scales at 265. De Lima came in at 259. Ben gave a big ol' hairy flex. That's my dad, folks. Looking good there out there today. We've got Marcos Rogerio de Lima doing the one-arm big boy flex. I mean, he looks solid today, too, if I'm being honest. He is thickened up in a big way. Size advantage obviously goes to Ben. But Marcos de Lima, he isn't small. He is not a small man. Like, the thickness of this man, the broadness of this man is something. So if you expect Big Ben Rothwell to come out here and get takedowns or something, good luck getting to those hips. Seriously. This is a spot where I've gone against my dad. I got plus 130 on Marcos de Lima, and I got 3 units on it, guys. I just think Big Ben's days are numbered. I think he's done. I think the leg kicks are going to be a problem. I think the activity level is going to be a problem. I know the whole world out there is saying Big Ben by submission. Sure, that seems like an easy path to victory, and I know Ben got a submission in his last fight, but we have not seen any evidence that Ben is willing to go to the ground game repeatedly for the last 5 years. Like, if he wanted to submit people, he absolutely could. He just doesn't do it. So the fact that he had a guy who was completely gassed out and exhausted fall into the perfect submission spot for him and he got the choke, that doesn't lead me to believe he's going to go back to that same choke. I think Ben is probably on the retirement skid at this point, and I think Marcos Rogerio de Lima is in a perfect spot to show out really here, to show up and pull off a big upset that no one really sees coming. So that line has kind of gone against me. He's all the way up to plus 140 in some spots, so just 10 cents, nothing crazy, but I am pretty confident here on Marcos Rogerio de Lima, and if you're backing Big Ben Rothwell in any big capacity, just be careful out there, folks, because we have seen this guy piss away very lumbering, slow-paced decisions before, and I think something like that could happen here against the smaller, faster fighter. Main event time, Max Holloway taking on Yair Rodriguez. Max Holloway came in at 146. He looked crazy today. He looked like he was a little rabid, rough around the edges. His hair was all messed up. He looked mean. He's amped up. He's ready for this fight. Yair Rodriguez, 145 and a half. He came in amazing shape, I'll be honest. Yair Rodriguez looked really great up on the scales. I can't take anything from him today. Size advantage goes to Max Holloway. Slight height and reach advantage, it looks like. And this was a good face-off. This was an intense face-off. Yair Rodriguez looks like he's here to put on a show. We always know Max Holloway is here to put on a show. That man wants his belt back, and he's going to step on necks until he gets there. This is a spot that I just struggle with as a gambler because I feel like you have to bet Yair Rodriguez. Now, I haven't pulled the trigger here. In fact, I haven't bet the main event at all. I'm tempted to bet the fight doesn't go the distance at even money because I can get plus 100 out there right now. I think that's maybe the safest bet to go. I kind of feel like Yair, there's no way he beats Max Holloway over 25 minutes. I can't possibly see a way that Yair Rodriguez out volumes and outclasses Max Holloway for 25 minutes. Now, I know that's the rhetoric you've heard from literally everybody else making prediction videos for this fight card, so that's kind of what scares me. But Max Holloway's volume is something that cannot be answered. So either Yair Rodriguez has to pull the trigger and hurt Max and get him out of there sooner, or Max Holloway is going to volume Yair Rodriguez to death, and we have seen him struggle a little bit in that kind of a situation. We've seen Max finish people in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds because of that volume. So yeah, I mean, pick 'em price tag on the fight doesn't go the distance. I mean, I guess I'd say no and count on Yair Rodriguez breaking a little bit when this thing gets really tough and Max wanting to put a stamp on the fight and really make an impression. But he did that last time, so maybe he just wants to play with his food and outclass Yair Rodriguez for 25 minutes. We've seen him do that too. It makes this fight extremely hard to bet on. I think Yair Rodriguez is a good enough talent that if you want to take that shot at 5-1, it's not a bad bet by any stretch of the imagination, but I also think at the end of the day, Max Holloway wins this fight. It kind of reminds me of the Dan Hooker situation a couple weeks ago. Dan Hooker shouldn't be plus 400 to very many people in this world, but at the end of the day, he got choked out. So kind of how I feel this one plays out as well. That is the Undefeated post-weigh-in show, folks. Thank you very much for hanging out with me and watching. Good luck on all your degenerate action tomorrow. Don't forget, these fights start early. It's an early afternoon card, so make sure you wake up ready to go, get your bets in early. And hey, good luck. Let's roll.